What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Gym Report. I'm your host, Pablo, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Brian Schultz. The Void. A lot to talk about in The Void today.
Oh, yeah. The Void.
We're going to get into some trailer reactions with the Odyssey being released. I've been looking for this online, and all I get is the fake version. Running Man, which I was watching yesterday. These things just happen to start playing when these things become popular again, right? And then Eyes of Wakanda. And then we're going to get some Cameron versus Nolan. Michael Bay possibly coming back for more Transformers. Is that possibly or confirmed?
Well, it's happening. He pitched it. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. He pitched it. Okay. Interesting. Street Fighter casting. We'll get into that. Something that Harrison Ford sort of said, over my dead body. And they said, you know what? We're going to do what we want because it's ours. And then some ridiculous rumor about who's being eyed and is a number one contender. Tom Holland. Which I scoffed and gave considerable mental process about what that would look like. And then you have on TV, you got, what's the thing, that movie that he did, Uncharted.
Uncharted, yeah.
I'm sorry. It just doesn't work. That is in the list of Ralph Macchio cannot beat me. It goes in that list of this is not believable. You know what I love about the Karate Kid, and you know what the Karate Kid reminds me of the analogy that Rick Moranis was talking to his little giants about. That one time. You win one time, you celebrate it because if you're used to losing, winning must feel amazing. But you're not going on a 10-0 run. Ralph Macchio fought for his life in the second one. He's not beating this guy because you start doing this drum thing going back. You know what I'm saying? He caught
an overconfident, careless Johnny Lawrence with a surprise move. That happens.
Yeah.
That doesn't make him the better fighter.
Word up. They made him into like Ralph Macchio is the guy you come to learn how to beat everybody, how to fight, how to defend yourself. Perhaps, around the corner in a store.
No, but watch.
But not combat.
Okay, we're on a Karate Kid. Okay, we're starting a Karate Kid. Okay, in the Karate Kid, watch the semifinal round if you want to know who the better fighter is. Because in the semifinal round, when Johnny Lawrence fights the guy that he knows is actually the biggest threat, he cleans that guy out. He cleans that guy out. He underestimated LaRusso, which he had the whole movie. It was personal because he sees his ex-girlfriend sitting over in LaRusso's corner, and he got distracted. It could happen to any of us.
Yeah, and he was doing moves.
He was the worst fighter.
He also
Miyagi, won the last 2 titles.
Miyagi Dojo. Nobody knew, but he's going to teach you different stuff. You got caught by surprise because you didn't know what you were dealing with. These other guys you've probably been fighting since you were kids in all these tournaments. This is the new guy that apparently doesn't know anything, but he teaches you some cool moves that you saw Miyagi pull off. The one where he goes on the floor and Johnny falls and he hits him and he messed up his nose. You remember that move?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, snap, he did it dope. They did it. The way they filmed that was beautiful. But don't now make him think like this guy is invincible now. Come on now.
No, like I said, Lawrence won. They describe him. He's the 2-time defending champ, and he goes to a 3rd consecutive finals, and he gets upset. This has happened in sports. It doesn't make him the lesser fighter. It's like saying, look, the Miracle on Ice is one of the greatest moments in U.S. sporting history. The Soviet team had won like 50 consecutive games before that night. Like, are you going to sit there and really tell me, like, on merit, the U.S. team is better than they are, like over the course of a season? Of course they're not. But for one night, they got them when it mattered.
Those are the
We
nights you
got the gold
remember.
medal.
Those are the nights
you
you
enjoy
remember.
it.
All that to say is this guy Holland can't be Bond. I'm sorry.
Let's just do this first. Because this came out, and I am calling BS on all this. So we get Denis Villeneuve announced as the director. Interestingly, announced as the director, but he does not have Final Cut. So Amazon retained. This was interesting. Amazon retained Final Cut, and then this went to a whole discussion of like Chris Nolan, who always has Final Cut, and it came out that Amazon was willing to give him Final Cut if he signed on. But what came out was, as we suspected, because of the Odyssey, because of his production schedule, he's too far along in his existing movie, and Amazon wants to get going. Yeah. So Villeneuve is doing Dune Messiah right now, but he's supposedly going to wrap faster than Nolan's going to wrap on Odyssey or whatever he's doing. And so they're like, Villeneuve schedule-wise, this is easier, and Villeneuve's giving up Final Cut. So that's kind of how this worked out, which is kind of says to me like you might see Christopher Nolan direct the Bond movie for Amazon down the road. You're just not going to see it out of the gate. But this cast list, Jacob Elordi, who's Australian, by the way, so I get it. That's like technically in the broader universe of he's supposed to be British. Like I think they're stretching it if they go with an Australian. So you have Jacob Elordi, Harris Dickinson, and Tom Holland. I think this is total crap. I don't think there's anything realistic to this. I think if Villeneuve's been in the seat less than a week, there's no way that they're handing him this and being like, these are your three candidates. I might buy the idea that they want a younger Bond, which would kind of make the Henry Cavill argument tough. But I do not believe for a second that they are ready to narrow this list down to three people, none of whom I think would be an amazing choice or fit all the criteria that they're looking for. Elordi's probably the best of the three, but like I don't believe they're going to put an Australian in that role, given the restrictions that are on this deal until I actually see it. So I'm not worried that Tom Holland is going to be 0007 because that's what he would be, not 007. I just think there's not much to this yet, and we got to wait until we get a writer, we get more updates before casting rumors become a real thing.
If I was choosing, if you wanted to attempt to do a young James Bond, if you wanted to make this attempt, I think Harris Dickinson would be the guy. Personally, for me, I would probably choose him because he's not a no-name. He's not someone that's well known. Tom Holland is just not. I'm sorry, not believable. It's just not believable. I'm sorry.
Not for all the qualities you need 007 to be.
Nah, man. Nah. And this, to me, looks like a bad business decision will be made if you go that route. We are used to and are fine with seeing one-offs of James Bond. It has sustained the test of time. You have an opportunity to get Cavill to do this. You get Cavill to do this. You make your $1 billion off of that. Because right now, you're banking on making money. Granted, Villeneuve is a great director. I just don't know that Tom Holland is the guy to give you the Bond that you're sort of used to seeing. I don't mind him being young, but I've never seen Bond to be that. Knowing what I know, that this dude is 30-something years old, but he looks like a kid, yo. I don't want to make it sound like, but I think what people visually, when they see James Bond, he looks a certain way. We're at the stage of Tom Cruise playing Jack Reacher. We made the mistake once. Don't make it again. Get Henry Cavill.
In what was a good movie.
Yes, it was. I like Jack Reacher.
It just doesn't work because he just isn't the character.
Because you know what the character is supposed to look like. Somewhat it's been described in the books. So if you're a fan of the books, Tom Cruise is not the guy you're thinking about. Hence, you get the unsatisfaction of realizing what a movie like this would look like.
I also think with Bond, like Bond is one of those characters to me. Like, there's no such thing as Kid Bond.
You
Like,
tried that
there's
with
not.
animation, yo.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's like the essence of the character. It's ruthlessness, the suave, the knowledge. You just don't have that when you're 17 or 22. This character, a young Bond to me is like 30. Like a young Bond is still like seen the world, done a lot of stuff, been through things before they ascend to the 00 role.
Keep him there.
You don't want a kid. Yeah, you don't want a boyish face necessarily in that role. It's fine if you want the actor to play the part for 10, 12 years. But we've seen, look in the history of Bond, we've seen Bonds come on, in their 30s, sometimes even a little bit later, and play the part for 10 plus years. It's fine. Like, it's not like casting Spider-Man. So I think if Amazon is looking for a younger Bond, having someone who is 31 or 33 is just fine. It's totally fine and believable.
Let me ask you this. You think it's Tom Holland really pushing his name out there? You think it's Tom making phone calls?
Well, why would he need to, though?
He wanted to play Bond.
I mean, sure, but I like I said, maybe.
Zendaya, yo. He got Zendaya.
He's near the top of the call sheet in the Odyssey. Like, he's got Brand New Day coming. Like, he's fine, man. Like, he's doing fine. He's not going to be Bond. I'm here to tell you, like, I look at this list and I just don't buy that this is the list. I think it's going to be a while before we get the real list. And I think you're going to see, like I said, I think Bond's going to be younger, maybe, but I think he's a little older than this.
Yeah. So. And listen, man, Bond has always been a stepping stone for, like, who was Sean Connery before? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Right. Yeah. Anybody who stepped into that role have had their careers, and this guy, doesn't look the part. And there is such a thing. I'm sorry. There is such a thing.
Yeah, Bond has a certain physicality. Like, it's a physical role. You can't just be like Peter Parker size.
Let's not hire a name. Let's hire someone that can do it. Right?
Yeah, and also, not all British actors are created equal in terms of their suave, in terms of their presence, in terms of their charisma. And I'm not saying Tom Holland is a zero on those fronts, but like, for Bond as chauvinist, Bond as womanizer, Bond as all those things, like, that's not really Holland's bag. And there's other actors that, exude that, can kind of live in that. So we'll see. But I think this list is, I think it's planted. As you said, I think it's planted. I don't think it's coming from the studio, and I don't think it's coming from Denis Villeneuve less than a week since he got the job. And with him literally, he's going to shoot Doom Messiah starting this week. You think he's really spending all his time on the Bond shortlist right now? No, he's shooting the end of his Dune trilogy. Speaking of Zendaya, he could pass a word to Zendaya on the set. Yo,
talk to him.
Tom's not getting it.
Talk to him. Say something. Anytime he mentions Bond, mention my name. He could be talking bond markets, human bond, whatever type of bond. Just mention my name. Indiana Jones. Full reboot.
Yeah.
Hey, before we move on, listen, I like Tom Holland. It's just this is just not for him, yo.
For him.
This is just not
wrong
for him.
part for him. Yeah.
Indiana Jones full reboot. What do you think Harrison Ford is thinking?
Look, I think at the end of the day, like, Harrison Ford has been around long enough to know that, the money and the numbers don't lie. And the reality is Dial of Destiny is not a terrible movie, but it cost $300 million to make. They lost well north of $100 million on it because audiences just weren't as into an 80-something-year-old Indiana Jones anymore. And at that point, like, what can you say? It's still my part when you're 82. Like, what ground do you have to stand on? You know what I mean? So, does he love it? I don't know, because he was kind of prickly about Alden Ehrenreich being solo. Like, eventually, he kind of came around and was supportive of it. But I kind of felt like initially he was sort of like, "Really, you're going to have someone else be a young Han Solo?" So I kind of feel the same way with this. But as I've said, I mean, Brandon Sklenar in the final episode of 1923 is standing there in the hat and the jacket right next to Harrison Ford. And I'm like, that's the guy. Like, that's literally Indiana Jones in costume standing next to original OG Indiana Jones. And that's it. This is a franchise that should exist and is in dire need of a reboot and a streamlining. So it makes all the sense in the world they would look at doing this. I know people want him to potentially play DCU Batman, but I think he's more born to play Indiana Jones. And again, this is not a part where you need to do young Indiana Jones like they did on TV back in the day. You just need a dude who
can go on adventures,
30 to 40. Yeah, prime of life, ready to go globetrotting.
Yeah, yo. And then you can do a crossover with Carmen Sandiego. Boom.
Tomb Raider. Lara Croft.
That'd be crazy. You could build your universe like that's crazy.
The archaeological Avengers.
Wow. I'll put the link in the description to our email. If you want to talk, we got ideas. Tango and Cash still hasn't happened. I don't understand why. Tango and Cash, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Easy work.
That's easy money making right there.
Immortality. Take it. It's yours.
That movie, the original, is underrated.
Yeah.
Them doing a remake, it would be big business.
Stallone was hilarious.
That's a good movie,
yo.
Yeah, and Kurt Russell's never bad.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
But you're right. Brandon Sklenar could definitely take that role and run with it.
And I think he'd be better than Chris Pratt. I know everyone's wanted that for a long time, but I'm sorry. Sklenar's a better actor. He's more gritty. He's more gruff, which this character needs.
Yes. I mean, did you see Terminal List?
Yeah, I really like Terminal List, and that's the best Pratt, actually, that I've seen as a dramatic actor. But even so, like, there's something about Indy as, like, wisecracking, swashbuckling ladies' man that, like, I just don't think Pratt, like, I don't think Pratt gets all the way there.
If it were Pratt, it would be like how Charlie's Angels was to how it became. That's what it would be like. You want your spy series? Talk to me. Let's talk about Charlie's Angels. I got all day. Talk about Charlie's Angels to make it the way it needs to be in that genre.
Should be.
Yeah, yo.
Yep.
That could be a 6-season thing right there for you. But whatever. Anyway, we don't know what we talk about. Anything else, Brian? Indiana Jones?
I mean, I still think this will be years away, to be quite honest, which will be healthy for the franchise. But absolutely, like, I can't imagine we're going to go a whole decade without some movement on a reset on this, because Disney needs this franchise. They still need the ride. They need the merch. They need the video game. Actually, has done really well. The new one that they put out, which I think is part of what's fueling this. But absolutely, I think we're ready and overdue to have a full new slate for Indiana Jones. No Spielberg, no Ford. Let's just start over and do something different.
Yeah. If you guys remember Street Fighter. We know what we got with that, which is what I'll use as some of my favorite words, an atrocity. It was atrocious. Although I've liked the animated stuff that they've done with Street Fighter. Those have been pretty dope, but they haven't done enough of them that I wish they would have continued doing it and just developing that Street Fighter, because Street Fighter was dope. Now we've had a list of characters or names that have been cast for these specific characters. Blanca, some others there. Brian, if you have the list in front of you, what's going on with Street Fighter?
So the first batch, we were kind of paying attention because they had Jason Momoa was playing Blanca. They had Andrew Koji, who we liked from You Could Put Me on the Warrior. So he was playing Ryu, I think. And then you had Roman Reigns was actually going to play one of the villains. So you're like, all right, that's an athletic, big, charismatic guy that he can
has
do
the
the fighting.
features, yes.
After that, they followed up with Cody Rhodes, who was another champion wrestler. They got him in one of the parts. So I was like, okay, you got a good mix of like athletic actors and actual wrestlers who can do the fighting. And then the last casting announcements came out. And the weird thing is the game company is supposedly heavily involved in this. Like they're really kind of calling the shots. But the last 3 castings, I don't know, man. There were a couple that I didn't recognize. They had Kalina Leong is playing Chun-Li. But then it started to get a little strange. So here's what we've gotten more recently. I think I got 4 castings here. 50 Cent is in the movie as Balrog.
He has the physical attributes, Brian.
Okay.
He can pull it off.
He was pretty good in he's pretty good in Den of Thieves.
Yeah. He was good in Den of Thieves. Yeah,
he's pretty good at that. Do you think he's big enough? My impression is he's pretty short, isn't he? Or no? Does he just seem short on screen?
I don't know if he needs to be mad tall.
So then they announced that Vega is going to be played by country singer Orville Peck. And then they announced that satirical character Dan Hibiki is going to be played by stand-up comedian Andrew Schultz. And lead villain M. Bison is going to be played by pretty famed character actor David Dastmalchian. I don't know, man. These last few are getting me a little nervous about what direction we're heading in with this.
I mean, that dude, I saw him in The Flash as well. You seen him. He was in The Joker.
Yeah, he's in Dark Knight.
Yeah.
He's in Dark Knight.
Dark Knight, yes.
Yep. Well, I guess the question is with these characters, though, doesn't Street Fighter still have to have great fighting? And do you believe that these characters can actually fight? Like the first few guys, I'm like, all right, I believe you can choreograph a fight with Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. I've seen even the actors like Koji Centineo. I've seen them do it in different shows. These last few, I'm like, I've never really seen David Dastmalchian fight to where and granted, I get it. M. Bison's signature move is a wire work, probably torpedo, right? It's not like a Bruce Lee style martial art, but still, like these have like Raul Julia, who played M. Bison opposite Jean-Claude Van Damme. That is a horrific final scene in a horrific movie. Like, if this guy's the lead villain, we can't get to the boss fight and have it look stupid.
That's what I think. If they can avoid that,
I don't know.
Then we have a movie. If they can avoid that, because I think the pieces that they have here are capable of delivering a performance. Because again, we're going off of video games. We don't know what these dudes are like. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
But they have to be believable in their character. You know what I'm saying? Because they pulled it off in animated films, right? I think, and we have a real life thing of what not to do.
Yes. But that's why I'm like, okay, we'll see how they play it. But if I was them, I would have Reigns be the big fight at the end.
Yeah, save like
to me. If he's playing
this
villain,
big dude, save him. Let that be your Thanos. If you want this to continue, you got to see how this works out with this.
Also fair. Yeah, exactly. Or he's the if it was Mortal Kombat, he'd be the Shao Kahn, right? Like he looms over it, but he's not really involved in it, But yeah, so that's why to me it's like you should if Reigns is your henchman bad guy, he should be the final fight because he's the best fighter. You're going to be able to do the most with him. And if you're going to send Ken and Ryu or some version of that up against him, then that would be the most interesting looking thing you could put on screen. Because it's similar to Mortal Kombat. You have these special moves, you have this actual martial arts that you have to incorporate into the story. And it has to look good. Like if that doesn't look good, it's like saying we go to F1 and the racing scenes suck. Like if the racing scenes are bad, like why are we making F1? If the fighting in Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat is bad, why are you making the movie? Those have to look good. And I don't know. These last few I'm like, you're starting to branch out to where I'm sort of being like, I'm not sure all these guys have the athleticism that you want to do what this movie will require for it to be relevant and to erase the legacy.
Yeah, I honestly think any attempt at this, knowing what they know and seeing the pieces that they're putting in place, I think they can make it work. What the story is, I don't know how they're going to do this, but I think I like the pieces that they've chosen. Hopefully they understand that this can't be nothing goofy.
I mean, like I said, it is the gaming company. So in theory, like if this thing goes off the rails and stinks, they have no one else to blame, right? They made the game. They are the ones making the movie. Like this is their imprint.
They want their Super Mario Brothers money, yo. Ever since Super Mario Brothers came out, everybody's like, "What do we got?"
I'm telling you, Zelda's going to double down on that when it comes out. I think that's going to be another $1 billion type phenomenon when it hits. And Nintendo, we know, is building their cinematic universe. So you can imagine, like, what else they're looking at, right? I mean, plenty of stuff, but so yes, everyone wants a piece of that. And obviously, with Mortal Kombat back in live action, it was only a matter of time.
And we've been hearing the rumblings of that.
I mean, I'm still intrigued. I mean, I'll give them a mulligan. I'll be like, look, you heard all the feedback. You're sending this one to theaters. You're putting the tournament in this time. I'll give you a second shot. Now, if you blow this one, I'm probably not coming back for the third.
Michael Bay gave to us the first Transformers, Brian, that I saw in the theaters, and I was blown away. It was funny. Certainly, there were certain things that didn't quite work for me as far as the Decepticons are concerned. And I don't know what's wrong with making this dude Sheila both Spike. Just calling him Spike. That could be Spike. Just keep it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And the father, they had that. It could have been perfect, yo. But that's what I think. That first Michael Bay Transformers movie is a classic Transformer movie. Is in the same bag with Transformers the movie. You know, when I first went to see that in the theaters, that joint, that moment was epic for me, yo. When I saw it, yeah.
It's tragic, though, man. It's traumatic. I still have a tough time watching that sequence where all the OG Transformers get wiped out and then Prime gets killed. And I'm like, this hurts me.
I don't think I've seen that movie. Like, I try to watch it. It's like, yo, it's just like, every
time. Because they're like on the bridge and he's got him beat. I'm like, don't fall for that. Don't fall for that.
They got to understand it was a traumatic moment. They should make a documentary on that.
My kid has seen all of G1 Transformers, and I've warned her, I'm like, I'll show you the movie, but you just need to be ready that like a lot of these characters you're familiar with are not going to survive. And she's like, I don't want to see it. She's like, I don't want to see them killed on screen. I'm like, all right, then I won't show it to you. So, but Michael Bay Transformers. Okay, so I agree with you. The first one is a really enjoyable, entertaining blockbuster movie. I continue to have to this day a fundamental problem with it, and I don't think the Bay Transformers verse ever recovered from it, and I still feel like live action Transformers has never recovered from it, which is I will never understand why they had to make the designs of the Transformers so far from the Generation 1 toys that they were based on. And I think they got too far into like, hey, these kind of look like insects or like there's too much like intricacy. I'm like, and the reason I say that is because when Travis Knight came in and did Bumblebee, the best Transformer sequence to me is the opening scene of Bumblebee, where they show the war on Cybertron and the Transformers look the way they're supposed to look. And I'm like, Michael Bay, why didn't you use your visual skills with those Transformers? Now, if he's coming back to do that, I will be there because I watch pretty much anything Michael Bay does. But I do need to see a design overhaul here because I have not enjoyed, as we've gone through his movies, I don't like what he did to the Dinobots. I don't like what he did to the Constructicons. Like all of these sacred pieces of Transformers lore, they just didn't design them very well. And to your point, I feel like the whole Spike Sam thing was a part of that. It's like they changed things they didn't need to change. Like, why can't Spike and Sparkplug be construction workers? Why is that so bad? Why can't Chip be a handicapped computer genius? Like, why is that so bad? Like, it's okay. Like, you can do.
That's the whole
nothing,
point
you know,
of bringing
like
this stuff to live action, yo.
yeah.
It's a story that we enjoyed as a kid. And to see it play out live action and just, retelling, I understand there's certain things you want to work and you want to write, I don't know, whatever, but there was certain things about the movie that sort of made me reminisce about those moments, but then there was like the Decepticons aspect of it really was like, wow, I was waiting for that when I was watching it and it never happened. And
It's like why did we have to go away from the concept of, mining the planet for its resources, energon? Like, why is that bad? That's timeless. Like, what am I missing here, right? So let's be clear. Michael Bay needs Transformers, and the question is, does Transformers need him? Because the franchise has obviously become less and less relevant. Each edition is making less and less money. So when he was in charge, obviously at the beginning, the original Transformers movie did really well. The next three all made over $1 billion, right? Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, and even Age of Extinction all made over $1 billion. Since then, it's been a precipitous decline. And Rise of the Beast, which was a big disappointment to you and me, not a terrible movie, but it's still a disappointment, really came and went and nobody cared. And then Transformers 1, which is a really good animated movie, didn't do anything. So the studio clearly wants Transformers. They're trying to do that Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, which I'm dreading. And then Michael Bay commercially hasn't really had a giant hit in a while. So that's probably why he's coming back. So the question is, have they learned anything? Like, have they learned anything about the designs, about the stories, about the approach? And yeah, if they're going to take it back to roots, if they take it back to roots and they make it more accurate in a lot of key ways, I think we will have a good time. But if not, if it's more of like last night type stuff, this will be short-lived. I stopped going to the theater after Age of Extinction. Like when they did the Dinobots like that, I was like,
that's why I was like, I don't even want to see it.
I was so mad. I was like, really? Like, this is Grimlock? Like, no, he doesn't talk. He doesn't, like, none of that rivalry with Prime. Like, none of that. You don't understand what made the characters great in the animated series.
Speaking of rivalries.
Oh, my God.
There's this thing called Segway. James Cameron has some things to say about Chris Nolan's Oppenheimer. And what I believe he's saying, Brian, he didn't go where we thought this movie would go in terms of giving it its full experience. Not just simply the discussion of it, but actually showing the destructive nature of this and its impact. Show it. You got us here for this. Yeah, the discussion is important and like how you go about making decisions that leads to something like that. I get it, but show it. What do you think?
I'm with Nolan on this one, actually. This sort of Oscar on Oscar crime that's going on between Cameron and Nolan. I was like, why? Like, the funny thing is these two guys have shared panels together where they've talked about visual filmmaking. So I know that they like get along or collaborate to some extent. So this felt like I don't know whether you're just like jealous or like what's going on. But I will say this. I actually do think I know what's sort of going on at the root. Cameron wants to make his own atomic movie. He has the rights to a novel called The Last Train from Hiroshima. And he, in his catalog of things he wants to do after Avatar, wants to make something about the bomb drops from the Japanese perspective. Now, that's great. Like anything James Cameron wants to make, I will go see, given his track record. Why he felt the need to take a shot at Oppenheimer before he did it, I don't understand. So he says, quote, Yeah, it's interesting what Nolan stayed away from. Look, I love the filmmaking, but it did feel like it was a bit of a moral cop-out because it's not like Oppenheimer didn't know the effects. He's got one brief scene in the film where we see, and I don't like to criticize another filmmaker's film, but
We're gonna do it anyway.
but there's only one brief moment where he sees some charred bodies in the audience, and then the film goes on to show how it deeply moved him. But I felt that it dodged the subject. And I don't know whether the studio or Chris felt that it was a third rail they didn't want to touch, but I want to go straight at that third rail. I'm just stupid that way, end quote. I don't agree just because I feel like the point of the movie is it's not about the fallout, pun intended. It's about the mindset of the guy that built it and what went into that and the race to construct it and the team that was about, like, it is a wind. And by the way, Oppenheimer itself is based on a book. So Nolan himself is writing but drawing from source material. And I think that source material is meant to really keep the window tight around Oppenheimer himself. And I think Nolan's view is if I start to bring in the global view of the impact of the event and the Japanese population's view of it and what came after, that's a different movie. That's a different movie in a movie that I've already made 3 hours. And I actually agree with Nolan on that. This is a snapshot of a very specific angle on something that has many angles. And that is not that's not his intent with this project. It's not him saying, I don't care. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. He's not saying that. He's saying that's not what I'm studying in these 3 hours.
And that makes sense.
So I'm all for if Cameron wants to say, hey, I'm going to do that other angle. And we get James Cameron doing his version. We win as film. I just don't understand why he felt the need to be like, this movie didn't do it. Like, why? What's wrong with Chris? Like, why did you have to say that? In this particular case, if you're doing the origins of Oppenheimer, I think it's a completely defensible decision to say that the actual drop and what came after is not really what this biopic is about. That's a part 2 if you were going to do it. And so I'm excited. Like, if Cameron wants to do this, I'm very excited to see what this sort of his adaptation of this novel looks like and his visualization of, I mean, listen, this is a guy who has already given us one of the most disturbing visualizations of a nuclear fire on screen in Terminator 2, right? Sarah Connor's dream of Judgment Day is harrowing. And by all accounts is rooted in some science of, like, if you were exposed to a nuclear bomb, what would happen to buildings and people and civil, like, so yeah, like Cameron's version of this would probably be gripping, but there's room for both of these. There's room for both of these Academy Award winners to have great films without them treading on each other. And I just kind of it always reminds me of, like, Cameron is the mad genius. And I'm kind of, when I read these comments and I'm like, this is why everyone says you're impossible to work with, as brilliant as you are. Cause, like, you just couldn't help it. You had to poke the guy. He didn't come after you. You just kind of, like, out of nowhere, we're just like, hey, why, what's wrong with your Oscar winning movie? Why didn't you do this? I'll fix it for you. I don't know.
Yeah. Nolan, for everything, the way I've seen a lot of YouTube videos on Nolan's process, and he has a very particular point of view, and that's all you need,
Absolutely.
yo. That's all you need is a particular point of view.
Want to segue again? Speaking of Nolan, should we just segue again?
Nolan, the guy that we really revere and most people do as a director. The Odyssey trailer came out with Jurassic World Rebirth, and Brian saw it. I've been looking online trying to find it, and all I've seen is the fake version. I'm wondering when they release this teaser. Perhaps this week, right? You think?
They said it will not be released online. Nolan's not going to let it go online officially. And Universal wants to make you go see Jurassic World in order to see it. So I went,
yeah.
So what did you think? Walk out.
Okay.
By the way, they deked me a little bit on this. My wife does not like watching trailers, whereas, of course, I love watching trailers. So we usually compromise on this. So I told her, I was like, we got to go watch the trailers because I got to watch this. I can't miss this Odyssey thing. I said, it probably will be the last thing they show, but just in case, I got to go see it. So they go through the whole trailer sequence. The last trailer in the standard batch is for Wicked for Good, which is also a Universal picture. And I'm like sitting there being like, are they not going to show this? It's actually after the movie intro. So like it's really attached to Jurassic World. It's like after Nicole, because I saw it in an AMC theater. So it's after Nicole Kidman does her like, hey, we watch movies and all that sort of stuff. It's placed after that, right before the opening credits of Jurassic World roll. And I was like, oh, he gets that spot. He gets like the extra spot. So even if you decided to go late and skip the trailers, they still got you because it's after the showtime started. I was like, it's like 25 minutes in. I'm like, oh, I see. So we'll talk about there's one big, this is Nolan, right? There's one big thing everyone's buzzing about that's not necessarily good. And then there's the other stuff. They don't show you that much, but I will say this. The couple of visuals you get, there's a couple of just like wow shots of, it looks like Greeks on the beach and like it looks like maybe the remains of the Trojan horse. Amazing shot. There's a shot of Matt Damon as Odysseus shipwrecked out to sea, which just looks really ominous. He's just like laying on a piece of driftwood looking beat up and grizzled, and you can't tell it's Damon. Like unless you knew Damon was the casting, it just looks like a bearded guy, like, you know, kind of struggling. It looks much thinner than you're used to seeing Matt Damon. But then they have Tom Holland as Telemachus, his son, talking with John Bernthal, who's playing Menelaus after the Trojan War. And Bernthal's doing most of the talking. And this is what got other people talking. Because he kind of just sounds like John Bernthal. As I said to you, it was like hearing Frank Castle talk about ancient Greece, where he starts at a low, you know, his low growling pitch about, because Holland is like, have you seen my father? Because Telemachus in the story goes out on his own voyage to try to find Odysseus before he is unsuccessful, comes back to Ithaca to help Penelope fend off the suitors. And so they show Holland talking to Bernthal, and Bernthal starts kind of like growling and low tone. And then he does the full Bernthal where they're in this like dining hall or something. And he's like, do you have a story of Odysseus? Do you? And he sounds just like Frank Castle and just like the way John Bernthal sounds, American accent and all. And that's got people up in arms. Like, why are the American accents here? What's going on? So I don't know. As always, Nolan has a method to the madness, and we know that. But it is an interesting choice to hear both Tom Holland and John Bernthal just kind of. First off, Holland is getting rid of his British accent to sound American, and then Bernthal is just leaning into his Bernthal voice to be Menelaus. Is there a world where this movie is bad because the voices are bad?
The spectacle of it is what I think brings a lot of people to Nolan's, his visual prowess, right? Is what brings people to see what he can accomplish with his practical effects style. I guess that's all I'm going in there for. We don't know, but
we don't know.
Telling tale,
I mean, and of course, he has great actors. It is, and I would say, like, as it pertains to Damon, I do not want to hear Matt Damon doing his Matt Damon voice. I don't want to hear Rounders or Martian or that type of voice. He needs to be doing a different affect, I think, to pull off Odysseus. So if Nolan's just having these actors kind of be themselves, or weirdly in Holland's case, be American, that's an odd choice. And he will undoubtedly get asked about it and have to explain why he went that route, if that's what we're looking at. Because this cast is ridiculous. And if they're all sounding this way, that will be weird for a Greek epic. But you can imagine Bernthal, right, doing his like Frank Castle, like or he's talking to Daredevil. What are you gonna do, Red? Like it's basically what he's doing.
Oh man. But whatever.
But I will say the audience was definitely like, you know, usually during trailers, the audience is like eating their food and like a little whispering or whatever. When that came on, I will say the audience, everyone went silent. Like it's still that thing of you see like filmed by Christopher Nolan, everyone pays attention, you know.
Everybody was thinking the exact same thing. Why are they talking like that? The Running Man.
Yes.
Glenn Powell. who I think has a brilliant future ahead of him. So far, he's done quite a few things that we've certainly enjoyed his performances. Top Gun Maverick, Hitman, which was a really good movie.
A really good movie. That's an actor's movie too, because he gets to do a lot in that one. Let's not forget, speaking of Christopher Nolan, where did Glenn Powell get his start? Getting his shoes shined in The Dark Knight Rises. But no, he's had a great, he's done the Anyone But You with Sydney Sweeney, he's covered some genres, he's making good decisions. I mean, he views Tom Cruise as a mentor, and he's trying to basically emulate what Cruise did with his career in the early days. That's what he's doing. So he's staying away from everyone wants him in the superhero genre, but he's staying away from that to kind of work with different directors and do stuff like this Running Man update.
Running Man trailer come out Tuesday? Okay.
This past week. This has been the first week that it was out. Yeah.
Haven't seen Running Man recently because it was on yesterday. I was like, oh, snap.
Yep.
Just watching Arnold Schwarzenegger now and just listening to some of the stuff that he says, and it's just like, and his sounds of anguish is just crazy.
Yes. But what a cat! That's also, he's got some of his favorite castmates doing hilarious things, right? Jesse the Body's in that movie. Jim Brown is in that movie. It's just, yeah.
This was a little bit different in terms of, it's not necessarily the forum of the Running Man and where this is taking place. This is using his environment, right? Is the streets, which is interesting. That they're taking a different take on this, which I'm fine with, because you're not married to, you know what I'm saying, to that setup. Mm-hmm. You can do whatever you want with it. They tried it with Total Recall. And I gotta say, Brian, Total Recall is an underrated sci-fi action movie, yo. The things that they pulled off in there, man.
Oh, that's a take.
Just revolutionary.
Oh, that's a take. Well, this is more like the book, by all accounts. So the Schwarzenegger version is a pretty big departure from what Stephen King wrote. This supposedly is much closer to what the book was like. But when you look at the trailer, it has some of the Edgar Wright trademarks, right? Which is like the crazy music, like very stylized, grand action. Like there's a shot of like Powell like jumping on a bridge or jumping off a bridge, which is pretty cool. So Edgar Wright is that's part of the reason that this movie was interesting to us in the first place, is that he does some interesting things with the camera. And then you get Powell, who's like one of the up and coming leading men, to do this. And I will say the trailer to me sets a good tone in the sense of, look, first off, as we've talked about in the past, nobody is succeeding Richard Dawson as Killian. That's not happening. There's only one Richard Dawson. I really enjoyed Coleman Domingo in this, but I think Coleman Domingo as the host of this version of the Running Man, he's doing a good job. And Brolin as sort of the corporate kind of sleaze is definitely doing something that Josh Brolin is very good at. So I think the trailer gets over. I think it sells you on that this is going to be different, that the action is going to be cool, but not necessarily stuff you've seen before. And the premise is, look, I mean, we've seen it obviously, but the premise can work. So I continue to think this can be a real hit in the fall at a time when there's not as many big movies out. And I'm really excited to see it. And I think, yes, it'll further the rise of Glenn Powell as leading man.
When does that come out?
Comes out November 7th.
Yeah, so let us know in the comment section what you guys thought of the Running Man situation, because that one is interesting. Because it's really something that we're getting now into the world that Schwarzenegger built in his movies and redoing them sort of situation.
Yeah, I mean, you just talked about Total Recall, and now we're talking about Running Man, and they keep trying to update Terminator. I don't know what they're going to do next with that, but and they keep trying to update Predator, but they don't touch his character or his team or anything like that. So, but yes, you're right. I mean, they've tried. I mean, Momoa tried to do Conan. What was it, 10, 15 years ago? That didn't work. But yes, you're right. You're into that phase.
And lastly, Eyes of Wakanda, Brian. What did you think? This is a 4-episode situation, and it's only 30 minutes each, correct?
Yeah, it's really short. It's basically the length of one movie, all in.
And we should be seeing Iron Fist in this, I think.
Correct, confirmed. Yeah, it's coming August 27th.
How did you feel about the trailer? I still haven't seen anything that sort of wowed me. I thought I was fine with it. I wasn't disappointed, but I just want to see more. I want to see what these stories are going to be, because it seems Ryan Coogler is really invested in this series. This is his series, right?
He's the executive producer, but I think the most interesting thing that I was watching for was that he said that he's using his own animators. He's not using the animators who did What If or X-Men 97. He's kind of said like there'll be some. And I will say, I thought I picked up a little bit on what he was talking about in the backgrounds. I thought the background shots of this trailer were pretty interesting. They looked much more like almost watercolor art to me. But there wasn't enough, you're right, of the stories or characters to grab onto to kind of feel like you got a real sense of the through time nature of this story. This story is supposed to cover thousands of years and sort of an ongoing quest to obtain or steal vibranium at different points in history. And you don't really get a sense of that from this teaser. But I did think visually, I was like, yeah, there's a few things here that look a little like, I don't know what exactly it wasn't quite like what I'd seen. It definitely was different than What If, definitely was different than X-Men 97. It wasn't quite Blue Eye Samurai either. Like it was something a little different. So I guess I'm curious to see how that plays over 2 hours. But, you know, I'm still moderately interested. And I'll check it out. Like I said, it's nice that it's digestible. You know, 4 half-hour episodes is pretty easy. So and it's kind of at the end of summer, back to school time. So yeah, I mean, I'm still moderately interested. But you're right. I don't think we have enough meat on the bone here yet to say exactly how good this is going to be, or how it's going to add to, like we call it, the golden age of animation that's going on right now in the genre. We did see a teaser for Blue Eye. I sent that to you last night. Netflix was they were at the Anime Expo. And they had some other stuff. I was like, I've never heard of this. I was like, maybe I have to check out some of this other stuff. But there was a Blue Eye teaser for season 2 in there, and that of course looks,
can't wait for that.
Expect it to look like.
So yeah, let us know in the comment section below what you guys thought of all the subject matters that we spoke about on The Void. A long episode, but a lot of different things in there. So yeah, hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Nerd Gen Report.